Hello and welcome to Corey Loses, where today we're going to be taking a look at a new faction profile for the upcoming version of Thrawn's Revenge Imperial Civil War. So this is going to be the faction profile for the Corporate Sector Authority. That's the new faction we're adding in 2.3. In 2.2 they were present as a minor faction that could emerge on Singe's death, as well as in some other cases, but they're being significantly expanded with 2.3 into a fully playable faction. So before we get into their roster and other in-game information, we're going to start off with a little bit of a historical overview for their faction, for those people who are less familiar with them, which I assume is basically everyone. But the Corporate Sector originally began as an administrative division at the end of the Tingle Arm within the Galactic Republic, 490 years before the Battle of Yavin, to mediate disputes between corporations and the galactic governing body. This allowed corporations to acquire large swaths of space which were allegedly devoid of life, but this often proved to be untrue and caused many armed conflicts between the original inhabitants and the new corporations. During the Clone Wars, the corporate sector would largely support the Confederacy. However, some companies and some individuals within the CSA remained at least nominally loyal to the Republic, and especially to Senator or Chancellor Palpatine. This group of loyalists formed the Galactic Corporate Policy League, which supported Palpatine in his bid for power within the Republic. Over its existence, the corporate sector seemed to gain some increasing level of self-determination, with some level of independence having been gained in fact, if not in law, by 27 BBY. BBY being before the Battle of Yavin. Under the Empire, the CSA would buy up significant amounts of Clone Wars surplus, including the entirety of the Corporate Alliance's remaining assets and other CIS equipment, as well as other older Republic equipment as well. It was also expanded up to 30,000 systems under the Empire, and soon after the declaration of the New Order by Palpatine, the corporate sector was officially organized into the Corporate Sector Authority, which was granted a significant level of autonomy even under the Empire. Many citizens who tried to flee the Empire hoping for a better life in the CSA would quickly find that the CSA could be equally draconian. After Palpatine's death, the CSA attempted to remain neutral and sell to both Imperial and New Republic clients, although many in the New Republic felt the CSA to be just as bad as the Empire, if not worse. Despite these attempts to remain neutral, the CSA found themselves under the thumb of Warlord Zinj for the year before his death, and also Grand Admiral Makati died fighting, trying to keep the CSA territory under Imperial control. While we've added several new playable factions over the years to Imperial Civil War, all of these have been Imperial splinter groups ever since the first release with the New Republic and Empire of the Hand. The CSA is the first of a few upcoming factions which breaks that trend, and offers the chance for us to work on not just a more unique set of rosters, but also opens up a few other gameplay mechanic opportunities within these playable factions, which we'll be going over as we continue with the previews. With the CSA, this will generally mean some different interactions with corporations, and mechanics based upon their leadership. As the military surplus-based faction, there is still quite a bit of overlap with the existing factions in their space roster. However, there are a few new units, and on land there's an entirely new roster, which has been based on a mix of some Clone Wars surplus and the equipment of the Espos, who are a very well-armed police force within the CSA Security Division. The CSA will be playable in several existing Galactic Conquests, including all eras of the Era Progressive GCs, so if you haven't seen the preview for that, you are now able to choose your starting era, which sets up all the different forces within Art of War, Empire's End, and Essence of War, as well as a potential fourth Era Progressive GC, which we may talk about later if we end up going through with it. So you can start in Era 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 as the CSA. 5 will probably be a little bit difficult fighting the New Republic, but anyways. We also plan to work on another more local Galactic Conquest with them, focusing on their conquest by Zinj, as well as the events leading to Grand Admiral Makati's death. In general, Thrawn's Revenge is always focused on making our own assets, rather than using free-released or otherwise collected assets, but many of the models and skins for the Corporate Sector Authority are being developed in cooperation with Phoenix Rising, which is another EAW mod made by one of the Thrawn's Revenge developers, Evil Bob the Bob. So if you want to check out the CSA and that mod, you can do so by looking in the description. There should be a link to the Steam Workshop page for the CSA. So with that all out of the way, we're going to take a look at the CSA roster. I'm just going to put that up on the screen while I quickly run through it verbally. So in space you have the Lucrehulk, the Invincible, and the Bulwark Mark III. You also have the Recusant, MTC, Gladiator, Neutron Star, Dreadnought, Dauntless, Victory 1, and Victory 2. Then you have the Eddy Light Cruiser, the ILHKK Citadel, which is kind of a little gunship kind of thing, so it works a little bit differently than from other stuff in the mod currently. Then you have the Gozanti, the Nebulon B, the Marauder, the Authority IRD, Preybird, Authority IRD-A, Number 2 Warpod, Mangfim 814, T-Wing, and Skip Ray Blastboat. Then on land, you have the Espos and B-1 battle droids as their main infantry. You have the Droideka, Espo Walker, K222, which is an airspeeder, the SX-20 Air Skimmer, which is sort of like a speeder bike that can fly, and the X-10 Ground Cruiser, Strikebreaker, GX-12 Hovervan, Persuader Class Enforcer Tank, which is the snail tank from the CIS, the JX-40 Jail Speeder, and the Corporate Alliance Artillery, which is a unit from Galactic Battlegrounds. One of the very different things about their ground roster is that it's very heavily slug thrower based, so you're going to see a lot of physical projectiles in the faction. But that should give you a general idea of what's to come in the CSA. Again, we'll have some more information about other mechanics within the faction as it's worked on. You can see some gameplay video in the background of some of their units, and again, not all of this is entirely done yet, so everything you are seeing is a work in progress. But we'll also have a Corporate Sector Authority playthrough on the channel here, so if you want to see that, then make sure you subscribe. That'll be starting at some point after the current Greater Maldrude one, so we'll probably be doing either the CSA next, or maybe even a Fall of the Republic playthrough next. But anyways, hope you guys are looking forward to the CSA as the next upcoming faction. We should have another news post in a week or two about some other changes coming to Thrawn's Revenge over the next little while. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.